I'm hoping somebody can give me a little bit of help with a dust collector. You probably haven't seen one of these before. This is an old Delta dust collector from the late 80s, maybe the early 90s. And I have some questions on this, how to upgrade this for the new wood shop. So let me drag this over to the wood shop where I got better light, and I'll ask you a few questions on it and see if I can get some help with this. All right, the light is a lot better here, and we got rid of the dead mice. So before I ask any questions, let me show you how this works. This unit goes on top of the barrel, and it has this bag here. There's the inlet. That would hook up to right here. So the dust would be drawn from down here through this opening, through a hose. It would come in here and it would circle around the barrel just like a Cyclone does. It's like a Cyclone without the cone on the bottom. It's like the upper part of a Cyclone, but it has everything all attached right to this lid part. So basically, this is an older version of a mobile Cyclone. And this is what it looks like on the underside. I believe this seal is actually still good. I don't know. I might spray some restorer on this, or I may just replace the seal. It's probably a better idea to replace it. So this is the inlet. It brings it in and gets it going around the side of the barrel, starts it spinning. This actually works really well, but once your waste gets up to right in here somewhere at the bottom of this, it starts picking up and throwing it into the bag. But other than that, they work really well. What I'm thinking for a future project, this just has these 4 bolts right here that holds this fan / motor assembly onto the lid here. At some point, I'm thinking I can attach that to a Cyclone and have a full-fledged Cyclone. This is a 2-horse motor, so it would make a real good auxiliary dust collection system. I'm thinking of putting it over in that corner and having that collect from the shaper and a couple tools along this back wall. And I have my old Oneida system that I'm going to mount high up on the wall over there, and that's going to collect from the saw, the planer, the jointer, and the miter station over there. We'll get into that in a different video, but that's what I want to do in the future. But for now, what I'm thinking is, well, let me get this on top of the barrel and then we'll talk about that. So what I'm thinking is that I want to put like a long sweep elbow on this and then have a pleated canister filter right here instead of these bags. If you use these bags, you know how bad they leak and they're just not good. Well, I'll explain this other bag as well. Well, I might as well just tell you. This other bag right here would connect to another barrel. It used to be connected to that barrel right there, and then you use the strap right here to fasten it on. It has a string strap, and then you have to use this as well because the motor is actually pretty darn strong and it would pop the bag off of that. So you have the bag on top of the barrel, and then the bag has an inlet on the side, kind of like this. And then you use a short piece of hose to connect the two, and you can wheel both of the units together along with that long connection hose. You can wheel that stuff right to your machines, and I used it like that in a very old shop. I haven't used this in, probably 20 years. I got the Oneida system in, I believe, '02. So I used this for about 10 years in my small garage shop, and it's worked well for me, but like I said, these bags leak. So what I'm trying to find, and I looked for hours last night, I looked at other people's videos, I did online searches. I'm trying to find a pleated filter that has a way to connect to a pipe like that. I've found a lot of filters that are just open-ended on both ends, but I'd like to find something that is kind of ready to go. Maybe something that's currently designed to hook up to a piece of flex hose like that I can modify to hook up to a metal elbow. Yeah, I'm not sure. And I want the dust collection at the bottom and a way to attach that. I have a big pleated bag, but it's too big for this. I believe it stands like that tall. The one for my Oneida Cyclone, but I believe the canisters have come a long way since that was designed, and I'm just having a hard time finding something. Look at how ragged this is. Many years of use when I had my custom furniture company. This used to be really flexible, even though it's a heavy-duty hose, but now, with age, it's stiffened up quite a bit, a lot like me. All right, so our outlet is 6 inches, and then I have, about 39 inches to the floor, and I would have to keep it that way. The unit would have to be shorter than that 39 inches plus an elbow that came down. So it wouldn't be a big filter, at least in this configuration. Once I take this thing apart and put the motor on a Cyclone, I could have a much bigger filter. And I have found those. I believe it's called Clearview, the company. They make collectors. You're probably familiar with them. And it has a nice clear bottom to the filter. I really like that. If I can get something that will work with that, but then you have that bottom part, and then the filter, and then the pipe coming down. So while things are connected to this barrel, that's going to be kind of limited, but a future version where this is hung way up on the wall, I can just drop it down and I can put anything I want as a filter on that. I don't know. I'm really curious to find out what's out there. If anybody knows something that's even close off the shelf, leave a comment and leave a link below, and hopefully I can get this up and running with that. I'm going to use it with the bag for now because that's better than nothing, and eventually, probably within a month or so, I'll get my old Oneida system hooked up on the wall over there. But before I can do that, I got to put the 3/4 inch plywood on the wall like I did over here. I got to fill that entire wall and put a whole mounting system and all that there. So that's going to be a while. And I'd like to use my machines before that without sawdust going all over the place. So if you can give me a hand with that, I would really appreciate it. Okay, last night, after I allegedly wrapped up this video, I went down a rabbit hole of dust collecting on the internet. I was up till 2 in the morning researching this stuff I found some flanges and this and that, and this is what I came up with real quick, was 2 angle irons coming off of here, and then I found a filter with a flange on it. I was thinking I'd hang it off of there, and then this would go on the top, the hose would connect to it like that. And the further I got into it, the more I changed my mind. And I also have the collection for over there on here. But in the end, this is what I've come up with. Just making a plenum here, kind of taking plywood. I'll have to allow for this, and I'll probably have to take this off, this plastic part. Yeah, to give me more room, because I can build the plenum right up to this and seal it up. Yeah, I think that's what I'll have to do. So, like I said, I was down an internet rabbit hole. I found out, and I did know this before, that these were made by Cincinnati Fan, and a bunch of different companies sold versions of this back in the 80s and 90s. I don't think they're sold anymore, but there's a lot of them out there. Actually, I'll show you some of the pages that I found. So basically, this would be a plenum connected to this, and then I found a filter that's a good deal shorter. What was it? 26 inches tall, and it needed to be a 12 3/4 inch filter. So I went through all of their filters and found one that was for like $99. Some of them are $300, some of them are $400. And this filter was, like I said, $99, and it was a, oh, what the heck, a MRF? I forget the acronym. Again, I'll show you that on the computer in just a second. It was rated at 15, so it'll filter out almost all of the bad stuff. I think the HEPA filters are 16. So this is what I'm going to do. This over here, the Oneida dust collection is going to go into a plenum, and I'll put 2 filters on it. That will be on that wall. And one of the filters is going to have to be shorter so that the dust collector can go under it. But one of the filters will go nearly to the ground, 2 long filters, and we'll have the clear view cleanouts. I'll show you all this stuff, like I said, on the computer. And if you know of any better stuff or any other companies I can look at, let me know in the comments below. But we're going to go over and go onto the computer, and I'll show you this stuff real quick, and then we'll sign off of this. Okay, I initially started looking on the woodworking filters on Wynn Environmental, and it didn't look like they had anything that would work, except for possibly this one here with a flange, but it was too tall. So I continued to look, and I found various things between the Wynn Environmental and Oneida. Found a few things there, and including this, and I was going to cobble something together with an elbow going to this, but then the elbow is $100. It would be $550 already, just with that elbow and this, and I would have to fasten that on there, and it's too tall. So I kept looking, and then I went to the industrial area at Wynn Environmental and started going through there, and I found this. This is for the bottom part. Way too expensive, but it let me know that there's a lot more out here. When I originally looked on the industrial area, I'll show you page 1, I didn't see anything that I thought would work, so I just went on and looked elsewhere. But if you dig way down in there, where is that? I found this, and this was too long, but I wanted to use that for something else. I did find this, and what is it? A Merv 15, and it's 26 inches tall. And it needed to be 12 3/4 inch diameter. Let me see if I can find that, so that it's going to work with this gamma seal. I watched this video as well. Made a plywood plenum. I've seen quite a few of these in my days, and a lot of the ones I've seen, especially back in the olden days, they had bags coming off of it instead of filters like this. But this made it real interesting. So I can basically make a wooden plenum or a plywood plenum with a couple of these and a couple filters, a couple of the more reasonably priced filters. Yeah, again, $433. Okay. And I looked that up, and the Merv rating, we have the 10, which is what that first filter was, which is not that great. Then we have the 15, which is like the best stuff that they have. And then the HEPA, it doesn't really say. It goes 16 and then HEPA. I really don't need the HEPA, but I would rather have a 15 than a 10. So, where is that? That's a 10. This one is the right size, 12 3/4 to fit the gamma seal. 26 inches tall, which will fit the collector, and it's Merv 15, and it's $121. Yeah, see, this one is not going to work. So $121 plus some plywood, and I'm going to design it so that I can put a filter on the top as well, but I'm not going to do that right away. So I'm figuring for about $200, I can have a real nice filtration system on that. I also did a search on these Delta collectors, and you're going to find more of them that say Cincinnati or Dayton or even a few other companies. Delta rebranded their system. Here's one. This is a Delta right here. Yeah, actually, they're calling it a Rockwell because Delta was owned by Rockwell for a bit. But this is the same thing right here, and it's a Ace. I believe these are all made by the same company, and that was Cincinnati. What was it, Cincinnati Fan? I actually knew that back in the day, but it's been so long since I even used that I forgot that little tidbit. So, until I get that plenum on here, I'm going to use this smaller bag, and then I'll be able to use this. But in order for me to use this, this is 220. So, I'll have to get some electrical hooked up over there, but that's kind of waiting on the dust collection system. I need to figure out where I'm going to have my miter table. And to do that, that miter table is going to be at the end of the dust collection run. So I'm going to have to go dig my old Oneida system out of storage, bring that over here, and I'm going to lay it out and run a string over here and kind of figure out exactly where that's going to go. And then I'll transfer that stuff up onto the ceiling and run the ductwork at a different time. There's going to be a lot of interesting videos coming up, so make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you there.